right, we're back.
We're back.
Big win with Northwest Classen. We kind of knew that was going to happen. I do want you to talk about some of these interesting play calls you made. I saw some linemen lined up in the backfield.
Right.
So I want to get into that a little bit, but it happened the way we wanted it to happen. And actually, I was impressed with Northwest Classen. If you recall last year, they had a hard time getting off a snap period. And
Right.
this year they were much, much better, even though they only showed up with about 25 kids.
Right.
So hats off to the coaches and all the players that
Absolutely.
were out there. They improved, and like you say every week, that's the goal of any football
Right.
team is improving. And so
Right.
all you can do is improve.
Right. We talk about kids about, honoring our opponent and just making sure they understand that, that's difficult to do. You have, 25 kids, coaching staff and kids. Our theme this year is in the arena, and, I feel like Northwest Classen, kind of exemplifies that with just, being able to continually show up and work when the outcome may not be guaranteed to be favorable. But they continue to do so, and as you mentioned, I do think that they got better, as a year ago, and they do have some good athletes that just continue to show up and and snap the ball and try their best and all those kind of things, and and so our kids have a great deal of respect for them and their coaching staff, and just respect the way that they play the game, and it was a very a game where our kids we're going to give them their best, whether that's the JV kids, ninth grade or whatever, because that's their time to shine too. But with that, they still respect their opponent. So my hat's off to Northwest Classen and their coaching staff. Just continue to fight, and each and every day. So that's difficult to do. Getting back to some of the play calls that you do. If you followed our program, every year we do we call senior touchdowns, and on senior touchdowns, it's offensive lineman. That's a senior. We try to do our best to try to give them a touchdown, so they kind of get to pick their play that they want to run.
All right.
And so one of them was Jaden Millsaps was just zone read, that he wanted to do to score, and Jace Robinson, we tried to get him a few weeks back, and we tried to get both of them a few weeks back, and couldn't quite get him in the end zone, and so he just he scored on a little stretch play. But Jace was pretty impressive because Jace didn't get touched. He was straight to the end zone. Really really quickly, and Millsap's been kind of getting a hard time because it took him three tries to score. But he kind of started getting it towards the second and third try. He's actually surfing the zone and running it pretty well, and really hard to tackle. So both really good athletes, tremendous kids, and very deserving of getting their senior touchdown. Millsap about got us a penalty, I think, for a celebration. After his, but you can't. It's hard to blame when they get one shot at it. They're going to try their best to, make the most of it. It's a good time, for the kids, and it's very deserving for those guys who block for, countless, how many, hundreds of touchdowns they block for, and they get to score one themselves.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Let's let's go into the players of the game, and of course, games like this I have a hard time picking one. Because everybody was successful.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and start with you. Who was the offensive player of the game?
Yeah, offensive player of the game, as you mentioned, couldn't get a lot of guys, but we gave it to one of those linemen. So Jaden Millsap was our offensive player of the game. Graded out really high, had a lot of pancakes, had a lot of no mental busts. Obviously scored a touchdown, did a really good job, and it's one of those unsung positions at offensive line, but did a really fantastic job. And so our offensive player of the game was Millsap.
Okay. I can't argue with that. I was going to say the line. I was impressed with the line bounced back. They had a lot of holding penalties. Deer Creek, although given, you only can block for so many seconds before you're going to hold. But I felt like the offensive line bounced back. It felt like a lot of people bounced back. This was a good bounce back game.
Sure.
So I was going to go with I'll buy it. Yeah. I was just saying the offensive line. They were back. So sometimes they go the other way. Let's go defensive player of the game. Who was our defensive player?
Defensive player of the game was Tay Bullock. Tay had a really good game, graded out the highest on production points, and so that's kind of a pretty complicated formula. But basically, how much are you showing up, with productivity each snap, and so he had the most production points of anyone in that game. Had a really really good game from an outside linebacker position. And showed up a lot of tackles for losses, a lot of solo tackles, and just did a fantastic job. So Tay Bullock was our defensive player of the game.
And again, I'm in a loss a little bit here. I would take the cop out here and I'd say the Jackets defense, because again,
it's hard to pick one.
They keep swarming to the ball.
Right.
And again, when there's a pile, there's usually 6 or 7 coming up off the pile, and everybody's making solo tackles, and then everybody jump on.
Right.
Everybody was doing a good job, and
so talk about adding on. Basically like you want to show up in the tight view of a camera. And to do that, you need to be around the football, and
right.
And we try to create a culture of that, and a culture of where we also say never tackle alone.
Right.
Like, obviously solo tackles come up sometimes, but you want to tackle with a swarm mentality, and as you mentioned, and just get a lot of hats to the football as quickly as possible. And those guys do a really good job of doing that.
Well, yeah, and when I say solo tackle, a lot of times it's like there's the first guy to the guy, and he's getting them down, but then bam, 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 bam.
Right.
Which of course. There's different levels of players, and so there's some cats out there that they can take 1 or 2 hits and keep going. We got a couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that 3rd and 4th hit is really
to bring guys down, absolutely.
All right, special teams.
Special teams. Logan Nye, had several punt returns for touchdowns, a couple called back, but did a really good job, just cleanly fielding punts. Does a good job on defense, good job at quarterback. A young kid that's a future star, makes a lot of plays on Monday night, and just a really heads-up kid that's very, very intelligent, can play multiple different positions, really smart, just really good football player. And so Logan Nye, for his ability on punt return, did a really, really good job.
Okay, I agree with that, although I had the kicker.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we need, take however many, was 11 touchdowns or whatever, that you do. It's hard to go against that. But yeah, no, we went Logan Nye.
Okay. But the kicker's always unsung.
Yeah. Terry Jennings does a really good job for us. He's been clutch. He's done a fantastic job, and a really, really good story.
Every time a kicker messes up, everybody sees it.
Yeah,
everybody knows
it's a tough position for sure.
So
you have to have ice water in your veins, no doubt.
Just want to use that excuse. So that's good. I really don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on Northwest Classen.
Sure.
I think we got what we got out of it.
Right.
We're going to move on because we're going the long road down to Lawton.
Long road down to Lawton.
Down to the Wichita Mountains.
That's right, really pretty.
Lawton is a historic program for sure. You're always going to expect some infantry boys, some kids of giant infantrymen.
Right.
You always got a lot of size in Lawton. And so you're always, they're known for line. Mm-hmm. So they've got some losses this year, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the guys.
Right.
It just means that it just didn't
work
work out for them.
They battled injuries, especially earlier in the season. That a lot of those guys are back now.
Yeah.
So including the quarterback position, which obviously that's tough to do. When you lose a starting quarterback to be able to have someone else in there, and so they've had some reasons for some of those losses, and so Lawton is still Lawton. They still are very big and athletic and fast and physical and all those kind of things. And Coach Breeze and his staff have done a great job. They've had the same offense and same defense for as long as I've been coaching, and so they execute really well. They do a great job. Driving to Lawton obviously is difficult. Playing inside Cameron Stadium is always difficult to do. There haven't been very many historic program wins for Choctaw versus Lawton, in the history of the school. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there may be 2 that have happened. So it's still, I recognize Lawton as a very good program and a very well coached team, and I have a great deal of respect for them, and so does our staff and our players. So they know it's a big district matchup. Again, 2-hour plus drive down to Lawton. I kind of joke with like our kids. It's like I feel like something always happens when you go to Lawton, and I'm not superstitious or even a little stitious, but when you go down to Lawton, like we've had a bus breakdown before, or
right.
Sleet, we've had sleet that we battled. It just seems like something kind of happens on that trip to make it a little bit more difficult. So it's definitely a home field advantage for them. It's a tough place to play, but we're up for the challenge and look forward to it. And so our kids are locked in, look at it as a business trip, and you understand that we're trying to continually chasing our best game, yet this year, which I don't feel like we've played. And so, I'm hoping to see it tonight, on full display and be able to play our best brand of football tonight.
I mean, we've had some of the worst weather in Lawton.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty constant. So hopefully not.
Yeah, there was one year that I actually had to pull over my crew for about 30 minutes. We just stopped at a gas station because we couldn't see.
Right.
I was
it's happened a bunch.
I'm not stressing over this. We're just going to go get some snacks.
Yeah.
But so so we're looking for that quarterback to maybe be back.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back, and they've returned several other guys that have including tailback and offensive lineman and a couple linebackers and so forth, just battling injuries like a lot of people throughout the season. Obviously, we've been no stranger to that. Unfortunately, it's part of football, but they get a lot of those guys back, and so look to be recharged. And I know they'll always play us really tough. They always do, and be very well coached and have a great game plan.
Okay, yeah. And I know we're at week 8, right?
Yep.
Week 8, and so
yeah.
week 1, week 0, you can be good, but it doesn't matter as much as week 8, week 9, and
Absolutely.
week 10. And so
we got saying within our program we're going to be playing our best ball on week 11, right, which is first round of playoffs, and so everything's kind of leading up to these next couple weeks, and so we definitely need to take some strides forward, continue to grow the program, continue to get better, and continue just to be playing our absolute best ball, as you mentioned, entering the playoffs, and we got to take a big step forward in doing that tonight.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I always like Cameron Stadium's not my favorite. It's one of the older, smaller.
New turf this year, though.
So that's good.
Yeah,
they got new turf.
They have new turf. So it's been.
How about the new press box?
It's been about 40 years over. No, I think press box stayed the same. They did that for you. They want to keep it classic.
They want to keep it classic, keep it small.
It's
I can tell you
antique for you.
I can tell you some days there's 3 deep, and we're just all like holding cameras up. So we'll do the best we can.
Wind whistling through, and
oh my goodness,
keep the elements. Why keep the elements out when you can keep them in?
Exactly. Yeah, it adds to the adventure. So we're excited about going down the line, and so we just need to play this game.
Yeah, we need to play well. We need to go out and get a big win, big district win, and go. Our kids have been a lot of fun to coach this year. They're a great team, great high character young men. That's been on full display all year. Just what a wonderful group of kids it is. And like I said, we just need to keep putting together our best game of football, and hopefully that's tonight.
Well, I almost forgot something.
No.
We need to name drop the scout players.
Scout players. We had a couple. We had a couple really good ones. Actually, had on defense had a senior, Travis Rogers, who just volunteered, jumped in on scout team, made plays, wrecked havoc with the start. No, he's a really good player. Plays linebacker for us. We've seen him making tackles. Plays a lot of special teams. Does a really good job, and did just a fantastic job. And then offensively, a kid that does a great job on Monday nights. Just continues to get better and better is TJ Carter, and he's just he's gotten just a really good mean streak in a good way. Where he's going to give just a high effort kid, finishes blocks, just really wants to try to punish people, and just continues to get better and better, giving our starting D line just all they want each and every day. So fantastic job, and hats off to both those guys.
Well, let's get that W at week 8, and then we'll talk about it next week.
Let's do it.
Until then, stay classy.